why tech and Israel are synonymous, and as events unfolded following the October 7th tragedy in Israel, a group of leading entrepreneurs and investors felt a need to see how they can make a difference for the startup nation under war. I met up with the tech business venture capital leaders at the remarkable and recently opened National Library of Israel as their Israel Tech mission was coming to a close.
I think at the end of the day, after October 7th, the American Jewish, me specifically, and I think the American Jewish community more broadly, outside of feeling fear and pain and hurt, we also felt a big feeling of helplessness, right? We asked, what can we do? And a lot of us were kind of sitting and twiddling our thumbs and scrolling on Twitter and feeling awful about the world. And I think one of the most important things in times of tragedy is to show up, right? And we saw some missions going out for political leaders or for Jewish nonprofit folks, but the tech and business community in the States is heavily intertwined with Israel. And so we felt like it was a no-brainer to go organize a delegation of tech, business, venture capital leaders.
65 investors and entrepreneurs came to Israel on a mission in order to learn what happened here in Israel. They wanted to see for themselves what happened at the kibbutzim. They wanted to meet with leaders, and most of all with some of the entrepreneurs, those that have been impacted by the war and others that just need assistance on a day-to-day basis in investments and the entrepreneurial spirit that comes with it.
I think we got different perspectives on both the Israeli tech community, the Israeli situation in general, and the trauma that Israel has gone through, and hopefully some ways that we can be of assistance.
Ian Rosen, who was a partner at the Tiffin Group, an AI-based wealth tech firm, learned how deep and adjustable Israel's infrastructure is.
Tomorrow, of course, taking our feelings and our beliefs and what we've learned, both about what's happened in Israel and about the sheer ability for the Israeli tech sector to innovate and to continue to move on, take that back to our own communities in the States, our own teams, our own colleagues in other areas that are considering doing business with or investing in Israel.
Israel is known for its resilience and creative solutions, and the war emphasized the ingenuity of the tech nation. George Jurek is one of the only Christians on the tour and a first-timer visiting the Jewish state. He was enamored with Israel's large tech sector outside of Silicon Valley and that they are building solutions others aren't even thinking of.
We had a nice event at the Whiskey Bar in Tel Aviv, and a gentleman approached me. We had a conversation. He basically gave me an elevator pitch. I said, look, I'm going to be in Jerusalem tomorrow, but if you have time, can you meet me at the Dan Hotel at 8 a.m.? I'd love to see a demo of your product. He showed up at 8 a.m., and I'm going home with a prototype of a very proprietary piece of technology. And I'll say there's just a high probability we're going to write this man a check, because what he's building is a working product under incredible circumstances with very little funding.
New York-based Lauren Burson is an entrepreneur and runs a digital health startup called Conceive, operating in the fertility sector.
What's incredible is there are so many amazing entrepreneurs here building in digital health, and I know many of them who are particularly building in the fertility space. I'm actually heading over to Sheba Medical Center this week to spend some time with them and see how I can be helpful. There is so much we need to do.
The sheer ability of the Israeli ecosystem to fill in blanks for itself, to overcome problems in creative ways, both for their own firms and to even prevent the next 10-7 in terms of new tools that are being developed. We've met many people who are either looking for or investing in technologies that are moving the ball forward to help keep people safe.
The group also visited the destroyed Gaza envelope. Stephen Miller, CEO of the U.S. eyeglass retailer Warby Parker, reflects on his witnessing the atrocities that day.
I walked through Kfar Aza and the Nova Music Festival. I wasn't thinking initially, I was more just taking it all in to understand how could something so heinous actually occur. And so what occurred to me after experiencing the tours of these places was, number one, just grief, sorrow, disbelief, and then a the practical understanding of what occurred is actually worse than most people realize, and it made me really want to commit myself to coming up with a solution that leads to lasting peace, because war is a very short-term solution.
Rosen's takeaway was deep and emotional.
It's difficult for them to have to expose their lies. It's difficult for us to feel voyeuristically like we are in their world where maybe we shouldn't be. But it's an important job for both sides. You know, what's problem today in the world is that many people have lost this sense of like just basic right and wrong.
How did the Whirlwind Junket come to be? David Siegel is the CEO of Meetup and was inspired by his son, who was studying in Israel, to use his connections for good.
People love thinking about where they're not. You know, people who are in America want to be in Israel and they help front lines. People who are in Israel want to be in the army. And people who are in the army, they want to be in Gaza. And people in Gaza want to be in the front lines. And everyone wants to be where they're not. But like, the lesson is really just you could do where you are and deal with what you can do. And so for me, it was where I was in yeshiva, what I could do for the yeshiva, what could I do in my world. And for my dad, it's what he could do for his world.
I then said to my son, what should I do? And he said, Dad, you need to do what you can do with the relationships that you have and the people that you know. You could do something special. So I said, I do know a lot of people. I am going to get 65 to 100 executives and business and technology leaders to stop everything that they're doing and to do the most important thing in the world, which is to show up.
For George Durik, who was born in Bosnia during the war with Herzegovina, showing up is what he did.
Things that happened on October 7th came from hate. They didn't come from anybody trying to act trying to act some justice out. It didn't come from somebody who was trying to solve a problem. It came from a place of pure evil. And that's just what this world needs to stand up against. We can't accept evil anymore.
I think the most important thing that we can do from this trip, from what we've heard from almost everyone that we've met, is telling these stories and then continuing to vote with our dollars, as I like to say, whether that means donations or continuing to invest in the amazing Israeli tech culture and companies here.
From the National Library in Jerusalem, I'm Felice Friedson, reporting for the Media Line.